Hi, this is Andrew Grease with Quality Equipment and Spray, QSpray.com, with the next in a series of videos to help you get more productivity and value and long life out of your pest and landscape spray equipment. Today I'm going to talk about equipment safety, and specifically, is your equipment secure in the vehicle? Why is this important? Equipment security is critical, first of all, to protect the driver. You don't want something hitting the driver and injuring the driver, or hitting the rear windshield, distracting the driver. Secondly, equipment that is not secured can fly out of the vehicle and injure others on the road. And lastly, probably the least important but the most common, is equipment that is not secured often gets damaged when you hit the brakes or have another type of problem. Equipment that is loose or not secured gets damaged, and our repair shop at Quality Equipment and Spray repairs a lot of equipment that is damaged because it wasn't secured, and it's really unnecessary. So a couple of key points. Number one, just because it's in the vehicle, don't assume it's secure. Number two, just because it's secure under normal driving conditions doesn't mean it's secure in emergency conditions. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're doing 25 miles an hour and everything's fine, your equipment's probably just fine. But what happens if a kid runs out in front of you and you have to jam on the brakes? Or what happens if you're on the freeway and someone cuts you off? Or what happens if someone T-bones you at an intersection? I mean, none of us ever expect accidents to happen, but all you have to do is turn on the evening news and know they're happening all the time. And so I'm hoping to share some key points here to help you reduce the risk of these types of situations. And what I really want to get from this video is to help you get in the habit of looking at and checking your equipment before you drive off. So I've got some good actual photos that I think will be helpful. Here's the first one. And as you can see, there's a 6-gallon steel gas can just stuck in the back of the truck. And again, under normal circumstances, this is fine. But what happens if there's an accident? What happens if this driver jams on his brakes? What happens if this guy's going down the road 60 miles an hour and gets in an accident? That gas can flying out of that vehicle at 60 miles an hour is going to be like a high velocity, highly flammable projectile. Hell, it's a bomb. And you could lose your company over something like this. So this gas can, and actually all this equipment in this vehicle, is not secure, it's not safe, and it is unacceptable from my perspective. I don't think you should be driving around like this. It's too much risk. Here's another example. This was a termite truck that came in for service, and we saw this ladder just kind of resting on or in the bed. And a couple of thoughts about this. One is, if this guy has to stop short or gets, in a head-on collision, that ladder's going flying, and it's pretty aerodynamic. It's going to go a long way. But if that ladder were to crash through someone else's windshield, you could say goodbye to your company. I mean, that's the end. But more likely is this guy hits a bump. And if he hits a bump, that ladder is going to smash some of the plumbing that you see here on this diaphragm pump and do either some expensive damage to the pump, or it could crack a $3 fitting, and then when you go to start your pump to do your spraying for the day, you find that you have a huge leak and you lose a day productivity because you cracked a $3 fitting. Either situation is bad and needs to be prevented. So I say this is an unacceptable situation, and you need to find a better way to store this kind of equipment. Here's another example. This is interesting. Here's a backpack that's unsecured. It's actually, you can see here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, there's a bungee cord, but it's not really connected to anything. This is along the lines of, the pilot who, with the nice landing but the wrong airport. Like, what's the point? This is the illusion of security, which is actually worse than no security at all, because someone thinks this is secure. It's not. But what happens here? In this situation, if the driver were to hit the brakes or get in an accident, that backpack could hit that pump and break that pump or some of those fittings. And again, you could lose a day's productivity because that backpack is not secure. There's quite a bit of damage that could happen here. Here's another one. This is a situation where this is a vehicle with a camper shell on it. So the equipment here is not at risk of flying out of the vehicle or hitting the driver. But you can see here we've got a Birchmeier backpack and we've got a B&G sprayer that are unsecured. We've got two pumps down here that they could break if the driver hits the brakes. Either of these pieces of equipment could hit the pumps. Here's some electrical. This is a solenoid that protects this motor. It's pretty much made out of plastic. Here's some connectors, electrical connectors. If the brakes are hit, either of these pieces of equipment could hit some of these electrical components. And again, you could lose a day's productivity having to stop and go get this repaired. And it's just unnecessary. So here's one solution. A lot of customers use a security rack. And the main thought here would be to secure your equipment so that it's not stolen, but it's also to prevent it from flying away in the event or becoming loose in the event of an accident. And these are the security racks that we offer at Q-Spray for the B&G and for the Birchmeier. I'm hoping you don't mind me doing a quick commercial here. But you need to do a better job of securing your equipment, not just sticking it in the vehicle or cramming it in. That's not secure. So please get in the habit of looking at and checking your equipment before you drive off for the protection of you, the others on the road, your company, and your equipment. And lastly, if you think this was valuable, please, when you need spray equipment for your pest control or landscape company, please consider qspray.com. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.